Okay, hello everyone. My name is Cameron Awan, co-founder of iOB Business. Welcome to our webinar series that is focused on providing valuable business insights to help you grow your very own business. We'll be hosting regular webinars every 2 weeks, and today's session is titled, What It Takes to Become a Business Owner in 2021. Your presenters for today's webinar are myself and our resident business coach, Ben Porter-Smith. Hi Ben, how are you?
Hi, Cameron. Doing very well, thanks. Doing very well indeed. Thank you very much for introducing me. Real pleasure to be here today. So just as Cameron said, the topic we're going to be running over today is what it takes to be a business owner in 2021. Very, very exciting content. This has been developed specifically around running a business in 2021, what it means to be a business owner, and how, more importantly, you can be most effective as a business owner in 2021. So what we are doing is just getting the presentation set up for you at the moment, and then we'll dive in. So just a few kind of webinar ground rules, if you like, just to kind of let you know how it's going to run today. What we're going to do is I'm going to spend a little bit of time on video with you here just now, and then we're going to run into the presentation. So throughout, whilst we're in the presentation, if you do have any questions for me today, because I'm sure there'll be a few, please do pop them in the Q&A box. So if you're live with us on the webinar just now, what you will see at the bottom of the screen is a Q&A section. And what to do, if you do have any questions, pop them in that Q&A section as we're running through today's presentation, and I will endeavor to get to them at the end. We're going to do a very brief 5-10 minute Q&A session for you at the end there. So if you just bear with me, can I just check before we dive in that everybody can hear me okay and everybody can see me okay? That would be fantastic. If you just give me 1 second, I'm gonna go and check that now, and then I'm gonna switch off the camera and we're gonna dive into the presentation for everyone today. Okay, so here we are. So like I said, I'm going to switch off the camera for the time being, and we're gonna run through the presentation today. So once again, what it takes to become a business owner in 2021. Very exciting content. Very, very much looking forward to sharing this with you today. And as Cameron just very kindly said, today your presenters are going to be myself alongside Cameron, and we're very, very excited to bring this content to you. As Cameron very kindly said, I am a business coach and I specialize in working with startup and small businesses and help them build solid foundations and grow consistently throughout their early years, putting them up for success in the long run. Okay, so a few things we're going to be talking about today. Number one, we're going to be talking about the fact that it begins with you, okay? Everything around your new business in 2021 begins with you. Second thing we're going to talk about, consistency equals progress. And the third thing we're going to run through today is overcoming those barriers that I know you will have faced before. And today I'm going to share with you just how you can overcome them, okay? So topic number one, it begins with you. Personal routine. Okay, now I'm sure you've got one, I'm sure you've had one in the past, and I'm sure that you enjoy using them as and when. Okay, so personal routine is something that is so crucial to running a business, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, now a couple of things I want to sort of run over with you before I dive into this is that most of the time people will begin business from sort of one of two angles, if you like. Okay, so most people will be coming from a day job, if you like, or a 9-to-5 or a corporate role in which they have taken on their career to date. Okay, so some people want to start a business because they want to move away from the 9-to-5, or if it wasn't a 9-to-5 job that you have, it might have been a day job, could have been a night job. Whatever way we look at that, I'm going to class that as a day job today. Okay, so when it comes down to personal routine and somebody is leaving their day job, it can be very, very easy to be so regimented and so comfortable with that routine that you have established because somebody is expecting you to do something by a certain time. Okay, so let's just say, for example, you had a 9-to-5 office job and each morning you would have gotten up at the same time. You would have followed the same morning routine. You would have gone on the train, the bus, or got in the car to go to work, and you would have gotten there for a certain time because that's what your boss expected you to do. You would have done your work and left at a certain time because that's also what your boss expected you to do. Okay, so I know that the comfortable step from here would be to go from that from that employment with your day job to then move into self-employment or business ownership and do just the same thing. Okay, now that's sort of position number one that somebody might take with personal routine. Okay, position number two is that they have been confined to this daily routine, so much so with their day job that when they become business owners and self-employed individuals, it's all very exciting. It's all very new. It's all very fresh. So we want to smash that daily routine and we want to just break the mold completely. Okay. And then we start working at random intervals, random times. We start doing as we please. And whilst I fully commend everyone operating in their own way, I would not advise completely disrupting any kind of routine whatsoever. Now, breaking your routine into pieces can be just as, if not more so, destructive than sort of adhering to your already pre-established working routine with your day job, because both can have consequences and don't allow you the flexibility that you need to do. You need to be productive. You need to be effective. Okay. So with this methodology behind, your personal routine is going to cover a few different things. Okay. The first thing I want you to know right now is that when you become a business owner, you have left the day job. You are officially your own boss. Okay. You can work the hours that you are most effective with working. So when it comes to being a business owner, it's important that you establish a brand new personal routine, one that is effective for you, one that is useful for you, and more importantly, one that can be utilized in an effective manner for your business. Okay, so that starts with regular habits. All right, so whatever your regular habits look like. Okay, now we're talking about good habits here, not bad habits, of course, but we've got workouts, we've got eating routines, eating healthy, we've got taking care of yourself, we've got spending time with family, spending time with friends, everything that you do. But please do ensure that you try and keep it as regular as possible. Okay, regular habits. Second thing we're going to look at is regular mornings. Okay, now this is potentially the biggest thing that I'm going to share with you on today's presentation, because regular mornings are so crucial. All right, now when I talk about regular mornings, what I mean is I want you to follow the same routine day in, day out. Okay, because some of us, and this has to be tailored to you, some of us prefer waking up early, like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And some of us prefer waking up later in the day because we like to work later in the day. Now, this is absolutely up to you because you are the boss. You are the business owner. So you will understand when you are most effective and the way in which you would like to run your life. So this is what I'm trying to emphasize here, is that you have now left your previous day job, or if you are already a business owner stepping into new business in 2021, you have a fresh opportunity to develop in the way that you feel best. Okay, now even if you're a current business owner, because I know that we have quite a few people on this webinar, I don't want to preach or speak to one specific audience. I'm trying to make sure that everybody can understand what I'm saying, is that with regular mornings coming into effect, what do we do here? All right, we establish consistency. On consistency, we can establish productivity. On productivity, we can establish progression. Okay, so regular mornings are so important. If we wake up at the same time every day. Okay, now myself included, amongst many of my previous colleagues and the clients that I work with, small businesses and startups, this is heavily encouraged across the board. Okay, now even on your days off, whatever days off you choose to have, please try and wake up at the same time each day. The reason behind this is because it establishes a rhythm for your mind, it establishes a rhythm for your body, and you can be productive because your body knows what's happening. Now, if you say wake up at 6 a.m. through the weekdays and you sleep in on a Sunday, say for example, you might be feeling a little bit groggy on Monday morning because you've had a sleep in on Sunday, you wake up, you didn't get the sleep on time on Sunday night because your body is out of rhythm, therefore Monday becomes more difficult to you. What we're trying to avoid is any difficulty whatsoever. The more we have routine, the more we have consistent and good habits, the more productive we can be. Okay, you're going to hear me say that quite a lot throughout the rest of this presentation today because it is so important. So those regular mornings, like I said, whether you're an early bird or whether you're a night owl or however you prefer to work, adapt that around you, but then at least make sure that it is the same and consistent day in, day out. Okay. The third and final thing I'm going to run through with you today on personal routine is regular self-development. Okay. Now, developing oneself in line with the niche, industry, passion, skill set is something that is so crucial because we are in a state as professionals of constant evolution. Things change around us all the time. The more we know, the more up to date we are, the more of a grip and a handle we can have on our business because we know what's going on. If we stop developing, then we stop growing. And if we stop growing, then we stop becoming knowledgeable in the industry that we work in. Okay, so do make sure that with this regular self-development, even if it's only 20 minutes a day, okay, it's better than doing nothing. And it's also more achievable than saying, okay, well, I'm going to do 2 to 3 hours a day. Okay, everything we're going to run through here and everything we're going to run through today is going to be about consistency. Okay, so regular self-development is something that is so important, and do make sure that it is tailored to your end goal. Okay, so when you're talking about self-development, have an end goal or something that you want to achieve at the end of this. All right. Don't just read for the sake of reading, and don't just study for the sake of studying. Make sure that whatever you choose to do, it is because you have an end goal. So if you want to become the best person in the country at pay-per-click advertising, make sure that all your studious material is around pay-per-click advertising, marketing, paid advertising, various channels in which you can do it. Okay, so regular self-development is so important to continue growing. So everything that factors into your personal routine here: regular habits, healthy, good, productive habits. Number 2, regular mornings. And number 3, regular self-development. Okay, but the next thing I want to talk to you about today is business routine. And your business routine is going to be ever so slightly different to your personal routine. And I'm going to run through with you in depth what setting a business routine actually means. But if I can just circle you back to what I was saying about the day job and working this kind of 9 to 5 routine or procedure, and it's just something that you do subconsciously because you're so hardwired now from having such a long career in the corporate world or wherever, is that you have established this kind of almost expectation of yourself to work these certain hours. Okay, so what I actually want you to do is take a step back and start to analyze when in the day you are most productive, when in the day you feel that you will get the most done. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want you to do is start to establish boundaries for yourself and for your clients. Okay, now the methodology that I would love for you to adapt from this meeting that I'm having with you today is to work smarter, not harder. Okay, now what I mean by this is, if I said to you, working a 16-hour day at the moment, could you achieve the same amount in 8 hours? If the answer to that was yes, would you want to do that, yes or no? Okay. Now, the methodology of working smarter, not harder, is by implementing systems, automation, procedures, standard operating procedures, ways of doing things that save you time and therefore help you achieve more in a smaller time frame. Okay. Now, for your clients, the same thing applies here. Okay, setting boundaries for yourself. So what I want you to do, whilst following your personal routine, ensure that your business routine is just as regular, whether you work 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., whether you work 7 a.m. till 9 p.m., whatever those working hours are. Okay, work smarter, not harder, and make sure that those boundaries are there for you, because consistency allows us to measure, and we're going to cover that in the next slide. Okay. But setting boundaries for yourself and for your clients is so important. Now, Ben, what do you mean when you're talking about setting boundaries for my clients? What I mean by this is, whether you're a current business owner or whether you're a prospective and future business owner in 2021, this is so important to learn now, okay? Setting boundaries for your clients is incredibly important because they need to know when you're available and they need to know when you're not available. It's beneficial for both parties to understand, when can I call you, when can I email, when can I contact you, when can we have meetings, when can we discuss things, and what is your sort of timeline or expectancy when I'm asking you to do things. Okay, so setting boundaries for your clients, in essence, what does that mean? Okay, well, it means that your clients understand the hours that you work. If you understand the hours that you work and you are cemented in those hours because you're consistent, you're productive, you're getting everything that you need out of life, the clients that you have will also need to understand that same business set time boundary. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't pick up the phone if it's an emergency, or don't pick up the phone if it's something that needs to be dealt with immediately. But what I'm saying, on the grand scheme of things, make sure that your clients know when they can and cannot contact you. Okay. Now, whatever that looks like for you. Like I said, you might be an early bird, you might be a mid-afternoon person, or you could be a night owl. However you prefer to work, as long as it obviously coincides with what your clients need you to do, because some industries and niches have more expectation than others for certain timeframes. But do as best you can to cater for yourself and for your clients. And this is so important because productivity and efficiency is just as important as getting the rest that you need and mentally recharging. Okay, if we look at this as a battery that never gets recharged, what's going to happen? The battery eventually is going to run out of charge and won't be any use to anyone. Okay, so it's very, very important to continue being effective, continue being productive, that you do this for yourself and for your clients. The final thing on this little page here today: regularity allows us to measure effectiveness both in personal lives and in business. Okay. Now, very briefly, what I mean by this, because I'm aware that time is ticking on and your time is very valuable, so I want to clear this up with you right now. Regularity allows us to measure effectiveness both in personal lives and in business. Means that the more consistent we are, the easier we can measure. Okay. So, for example, if you're having meetings at sporadic, random times throughout the day, and some meetings go better than others, and you don't really know why, because you're having these meetings at random times and you're working at random times, and sometimes you take the morning off, sometimes you take the night off, and you don't really know what's going on with these meetings. All that you do know is that, oh, I was quite tired in that one. I didn't feel that one went very well. I actually felt that one was quite negative, or that one went brilliantly. You don't know why, because if the factors of measurement are changing all the time, how are we supposed to understand anything? So what regularity allows you to do, if you're working the same hours each day, if you're working the same time each day, you can begin to measure the most appropriate and optimal times to have meetings. All right. So now if you know that your meetings are best happening between 10 and 12, because that is where you're most mentally alert. When we're alert, we absorb. And when we can absorb, we can learn, we can educate, we can share, we can progress. Okay. So regularity allows us to measure effectiveness, both in our personal lives and in business. Okay. So the next little piece I'm going to run through today with you is time management. Okay. Now with time management, what I would like you to do is use time segments to enhance your ability to focus and get more done in the day. Coming back to the work smarter, not work harder methodology. Okay. I'm very, very big on this because I believe that with the correct systems, the correct resources, the correct support, you can indeed become more productive in a shorter time frame, therefore get more of your life back, enjoy better business, and all the countless benefits that come with being a business owner in 2021 if you know how to do it correctly. Okay, so use these time segments to enhance your ability to focus. Why will they help you focus? Because if you agree a set time each day that you're going to do a certain task, there is physically no other choice other than to focus. The focus begins to lack when you don't know where your focus should be going. You might be doing a few emails here, a few calls there, you're picking up the phone, you're running errands over there. Of course, you're not going to focus because you haven't got a plan. Okay, to get more done, we must plan. And to focus, we must plan. Okay, so these time segments can look a little like this. Okay, so first of all, by setting your business routine and your boundaries, you know how much time you're going to be spending at work through that day. Okay, so maybe, and the thing is, okay, what I want to run over with you before I continue on this point is please take this as a universal logic and specify it to what you need the most. Okay, because every individual is different, every business is different. Okay, so adapt this information, this advice to whatever works for you. But what I'm going to do is share the universal theory with you right now. So let's just say on a daily basis, you've got a certain amount of time. All right, now let's take 6 hours. You've agreed with yourself that you're going to work 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. Maybe you work more, maybe you work less. I don't know you well enough at the moment, unfortunately, to predict that, but you will certainly probably already be working out what I mean when I'm saying this. Okay, so we've got 6 hours spread across the day. How are we going to spend those 6 hours? Okay. Now, if you're a particularly busy person with your emails, you might want to check in on them twice a day. You check them at 9:30, you check them at 3:30, just before you wrap up for the day. What this does is it ensures that your focus is set on your email responses at 9:30 in the morning and at 3:30 in the afternoon. And it also ensures that your clients know when you're going to get back to them. So if they send an email in the morning, they can expect a response by the afternoon. If they send an email in the afternoon, they can expect a response by morning. Okay, it gets your focus set and it gets your clients' expectations managed. Okay, very, very important stuff. The next thing, like I just ran over in the past slide there, we were talking about optimal times to have meetings. So I picked 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. because that's just when naturally most people are in the morning, people are most alert. And it's generally the best time to have meetings is in the morning because it's when you're sort of set up, ready for the day, but you haven't yet kind of done enough to sort of go back down into that slump, because we all wake up with a certain amount of energy each day. And that energy deteriorates the more tasks that we do and the more the time goes on. So it's important to get the important things done early. Okay. So what I mean by this, put a time segment onto your meetings, put a time segment onto your emails, begin to build structure throughout your day and keep it consistent. You will very quickly begin to analyze and see what does and does not work for you. Okay. So the secondary reason behind this is because it helps plan and organize timelines. If a client says to you, say, for example, you're working on a brand new website for your client, and they say to you, how long is this going to take for you to get done? You can look at your time segmented calendar and you can look at the 3-hour window that you have. All right. So say that your window is now from 12 till 3 p.m. daily. You know that you can spend 3 hours a day on this project for the next 2 weeks, or you know which days are free because your calendar is physically segmented so much so that you can see where the literal gaps are in your calendar to fit that work in. So of course you'll need to do an initial calculation of how long the project will take. Then once you know how long the project will take, you can begin dissecting it and plugging it into the days that you have space. And then you can go back to your client with a very accurate, very concise timeline. Okay. So once again, make sure that you focus areas in order of priority for you. Next thing we're going to be talking about today, consistency equals progress. Okay. First thing, personal and business routines will encourage consistency. Now, you know this because I've said this already probably 3 or 4 times, and I may well say it again throughout the presentation because it is so crucial and so important that you understand how personal and business routines will have a knock-on effect on how well your business does. The more consistent we are in our behavior, the more consistent we are with our progression, okay? Personal and business routines will encourage consistency. Now, you might be asking yourself, or you want to ask me, Ben, how do I make sure that I'm consistent on an ongoing basis? The first and probably the most obvious recommendation I'm going to make to you today is to get an accountability partner. Accountability partners can be anyone from family to friends to colleagues to business partners, anyone who you feel would be able to help encourage you and keep you consistent on a daily basis. Okay, this is what's important in an accountability partner. The reason accountability partners are effective, if the job is done correctly, is because you do not want to go to them and say that you haven't done anything. The excuses that you would normally tell yourself, I don't have time, I've been too busy, I don't know how to do it, it's too complicated. The excuses that you would normally give yourself, you cannot give your accountability partner because they simply will not stand for your excuses. And that is why having an accountability partner can be so crucial. Number two, setting optimistic yet achievable objectives, okay? Now, this is particularly relevant because I want your objectives to be optimistic because they have to push you. You have to be forced to grow and you have to be forced to develop. So like I've said here, always focus on growth and development. But what we don't want to do is set a wildly optimistic and therefore unrealistic goal, okay? So let's just say January 2021 is your first month in business as a brand new business owner, okay? If you say to me, Ben, my goal for the end of the year is to earn £6 million, okay? I would say to you, I don't know you well enough to say that that isn't gonna happen. But what I would say is, statistically, the likelihood of you earning 6 million in a 12-month time frame is unlikely, okay? So set achievable objectives, but make sure that they are optimistic. So what we can do is if you said to me instead, Ben, actually my goal is to make 50K by the end of the year, I'd say, okay, that's going to be a push for you, but I think you can do it. I absolutely think you can do it. And then you can set a planning, okay? So it's optimistic because it has to grow and develop you, but it's also achievable so that you don't become demotivated for an unrealistic objective, okay? Now, the next thing, KPIs. KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. This combines with performance reports. The more we measure, the more we understand, the more consistent we can be, okay? Now, understanding does come from measurement, okay? The more we can measure, the more we can understand. So key performance indicators and performance reports combine in this way. A performance report could be based on something that you have said you were going to do that week, that month, that day, whatever way you decide to do it. A performance report will essentially tell you whether you are or are not doing that well enough, okay? Now, key performance indicators, the clue is in the name there, is an indicator of key performances required, especially when applied to business. Now, KPIs can be as simple or as complex as you would like them to be, okay? Now, what I mean by this is if we just take a very, very simple example of a KPI, let's say on average, you have worked out that you need to have 5 sales meetings in order to get 1 new client per week, okay? So your KPI or your objective at this point is to get 5 sales meetings in this week, and therefore hopefully 1 new client if the sales meeting is successful. That then the KPI would reflect how many sales meetings did we have, how many sales meetings did we close, and what did we do to get those sales meetings in the first place? Because of course, sales meetings don't appear out of thin air. You have to have a marketing and lead generation method behind that in order to garner these results ultimately, okay? So everything factors in here. But if we're consistently measuring and you'll say 1 week you did have 5 sales meetings and you got 1 new client, the next week you only achieved 2, so there's no new clients that week, you can very simply look at this KPI report and look that you only had 2 sales meetings. Therefore, it's no surprise that you didn't get a new client last week. Okay, so it really does become as simple as that. As long as you have the correct methodology and the correct reporting system on the other side. So something I would heavily encourage when you do become a business owner is to implement key performance indicators and performance reports as a huge part of your business going forward. Okay. Final thing we're going to be talking about today is overcoming barriers, okay? As a business coach, one of the biggest pitfalls of business owners that I see on a daily basis are seemingly insurmountable barriers, okay? Barriers that come up that you feel that you cannot overcome for one reason or another, okay? Now, what I want to share with you today is the advice that I share with clients every single day, small businesses and startups, as to how they can overcome these barriers, okay? The most effective methods to overcome barriers that seem impossible to overcome, whether it's because they don't know how to overcome, it's scary, it's intimidating, it doesn't seem to make sense, it's too much of a push, whatever that barrier looks like, and for whatever reason it seems insurmountable, I want to share these parts with you, okay? Thing number one, support is absolutely crucial in business. You need people to rely on and people to drive you forwards. Now, this can be accountability partners. It can be people who are informed, people who know how to solve the problems that you have, people that can help you out in areas that you need to develop in. Support is absolutely crucial in business. Now, this doesn't mean to say that you will achieve nothing on your own, but what it does mean to say is that if you want to become in any way successful, if you want to grow, if you want to develop, if you want to continue driving something past and bigger than yourself, you're going to need support to get there. Okay. Now, I don't know if you could name any one successful entrepreneur, and of course, everybody has a different definition of success, that hasn't in some way, shape, or form had support to help get them there. Okay. Now, I like doing these little formulas. They're just a bit of novelty that help me get my point across. Now, what I've said here is simplicity equals understanding equals progression. Okay. In order to progress, we must understand. In order to understand, we must simplify. When something is simple to us, we understand it. When we understand something, it allows us to build and progress. Okay. So without simplicity, we don't have understanding. And without understanding, we don't have progression. So we must continue to understand to grow. Okay. Simplicity equals understanding equals progression. Please remember that formula because it's going to be very, very important when you become a business owner. Point number 4 today. Guidance from those who have done it before, okay? People who have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, came around, done it again, and can share that with you, okay? Guidance from those who have done it before can be one of, if not the most effective way of growing in business today, okay? This is invaluable because it is real-time, real-world experience, and you can answer the exact specific questions that you have. Sorry, they can answer these exact specific questions that you have because they have physically been there and done that themselves. At this moment in time, you are not reading from a textbook, you are hearing it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Someone who has been there and done exactly that thing that you need to do today or tomorrow or next week, all right, whenever. And the final piece of the puzzle, what I say to everyone who asks me this question is, and how do I get past this? It's from having resources at your disposal. It's from having training, advice, encouragement, support, services, everything that you could possibly need and that you would have behind you to ensure and almost really drive forward your success in such a way where it becomes very difficult at this point to not succeed, is if you have enough resources behind you to make that happen. You have guidance from those who have done it before. You can simplify the issues because you can then understand them and progress, and you've got support from those who you need it from, okay? Now, these are the ways in which you begin to overcome these seemingly insurmountable barriers. Okay, so as always, at the end of this presentation, I would like to give something to you. As much as I've enjoyed talking to you today, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I don't want you to spend all day listening to me. What I do want to do for you is share with you the iOB Business Starter Pack. Okay, what you're going to find in here is information, resources, and guidance. Everything I talked with you about today. Okay, everything that I ran through that you need to overcome these seemingly insurmountable barriers is something completely valuable and available for you today, right now. Okay, the way you're going to get that is by going to iob-business.com/explore. Okay, now that is exactly for you. And if you in any way would love to become a business owner in 2021, if that is on your ambition list, what you need to do today is go over and get this business starter pack. Okay. So I'm going to leave that link up on the screen so that you can go, you can grab it, you can have a look. Thank you very much for attending. I have really enjoyed spending my time with you today. Now, what I'm going to do, whilst I leave this link up, I've got a couple of questions to run through that I got throughout the webinar. Thank you so much for popping them in the Q&A box for me. So what I'm going to do, just whilst we run over this Q&A session, the link is on the screen for you to go ahead and visit whenever you get a chance. And for now, I'm just going to run through the questions that I have. All right. So thank you so much for taking the time to put these through. I've got 2 questions in front of me right now, both very, very good questions. Okay. So question number 1, I have many different clients and projects to manage. How can I utilize time management for this? Okay, cool. Fantastic question. Obviously, now circling back to time management, which I think was about halfway through the presentation there, what we're going to do is we're going to prioritize. Okay. Now, whenever I get asked this question, especially if you're a digital agency owner, you'll have different size clients and different size projects to manage. So the universal advice can seem almost, inapplicable to you. However, I assure you that it absolutely is. Okay. Make sure that each client and project is getting the time that they need from you. All right. So what I mean by this is if it's a huge client that they need lots and lots of your time, make sure that they're getting that, because it's important that you take care of every client, no matter how big or how small. The easiest way to do this is to establish a routine with your client. Make sure that they're happy with the amount of time that you're spending together. Make sure that your client is happy with the time that you're spending together. Make sure that you're happy with that time. Okay, set a boundary with your client and get an understanding, because at that point, the size of client somewhat becomes irrelevant, because if you're spending enough time together and you're both happy with the amount of time that you're spending, both on the projects and on the meetings, then everyone's happy, right? So the way to manage your time with clients is just by speaking to them and saying, what do you need from me and what can I give to you? Second question I have here today, I'm just going to take a quick drink of water. The second question I have here today, how do I make sure that I stick to my personal and business routine? Okay, well, this is an easy one. And I love this question because sticking to a new routine can be difficult. And the one thing that I can share with you, or so the experts say, is that it takes 3 weeks to form a new habit. Okay, so what I would like you to do, if you think that you would like to set a new personal and business routine, what I would like you to do is stick to this new routine for at least 3 weeks. Okay, set manageable and achievable goals and adhere to it for just 3 weeks. If it does not become almost like automation after 3 weeks, then you'll have to try something else. You could try accountability partners. You could try setting different objectives. You can try getting more resources. You can try asking for support. But the first thing I want you to do, if you're looking to form a new habit, make sure that you have the support around you and make sure that you try it for at least 3 weeks. Okay, so I believe that that is my questions for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer them. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend time with me on this presentation today. As always, I've very much enjoyed doing it. Once again, for the business starter pack, for those of you, if you haven't visited this link yet, please do go ahead, iob-business.com/explore, and you can get your hands on resources, materials, and support. Okay. So I have been Ben, I have been your business coach. I have been presenting to you today in partnership with iOB Business. Wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with you today. Take care, and I very much look forward to speaking with you again soon. Bye for now.